after World War II, and when, historians were studying World War II, they studied, Nazism, fascism, communist dictatorship, and they came up with a statement: the banality of evil. What does banal mean? Banal. Banal. Humdrum. What is humdrum? Oh, these are all old words. Banal. Humdrum. Mundane. Not extraordinary. Boring. Dull. Insignificant. Nothing was going on. It was pretty much boring. Banal. The banality of evil. Why did they say the banality of evil? Well, if it wasn't banal, then it would be Mars Attacks, that movie. So if you were to meet Scott Dougal from Google, who I say is a devil, what would you meet if you met that person? Uh, well, if you met him, would you say he's evil? No. In fact, if I was to say he's evil, you'd look at me and you'd say, you need to go and have a psych evaluation. There's absolutely nothing evil about Scott Dougal, Vice President of Google, doing research into interactive experiences. And I have an involuntary interactive experiences every day. A high-tech imposed virtual reality imposed terrorism on me, and I look around to say, well, who has got the technology that could do this? And the military industrial complex of the United States certainly can. And I don't know, it's just that Google is incredibly large as a tech company. And do you really think that Facebook isn't owned by the CIA, and that all those enormous things like Google and Facebook aren't somehow run by the deep state? And the deep state isn't run by the elected members of Congress. The deep state is the 1%. And who is the 1%? And who was born into the 1%? Well, minor league, Scott Dougal. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's no George Soros. But then again, being the vice president of a company whose software is in, more than half of the smartphones must be Android because it's cheaper than the iPhone. That's an enormous, amount of information that can come through the cameras, the Android cameras and the Android microphones of all of those things. If they all get routed back to Google, well, Android is Google-made operating system. Backdoors and things. You don't think they report back on, the dirty pictures that I look at? Everyone looks at dirty pictures. I mean, I don't know. First time I saw a dirty picture book, I don't know. I was about 10 years old, I think. So, what is the nature of evil? The nature of evil is, no consent. If you want to be a boxer and train as a boxer and you want to meet another trained boxer in the boxing ring, that's considered a sport. But if the two of you take it outside to the parking lot, that's considered criminal. What would you do if you had more time to try to understand the banality of evil? Well, I don't know. It's also, me talking about like the Beast 666 computers that bibliotechpallades.net on the internet talks about. That's the best place to go. Well, there's also whale.to, which has got other, well, just fringe stuff that is like quite often when you read it, you go, "This, how could even anybody write this? This is like so counter to anything," or it's poorly written. Sometimes it's like more poorly written. Or maybe it's factual, but the verbiage is wrong, and it needs to be cleaned up because it's unclear languaging here because it's got two double negatives that are in parallel. And if it was in series, it might actually say something more logical. And if I'm going to rewrite the sentence, it's going to say something different, but it's at least going to make logical sense. That's the way my mind works. If I'm looking at something and then I'm reading it and it's so poorly written that what somebody else says, the protocols of the elders of Zion, the anti-Jewish thing that's been kicking, I don't know. I know the name of it. I don't know what it is word by word or whatever. Is it poorly written or poorly written? I don't remember. But anyway, the first thing I would do is it in clear language that someone with a grade 5 education can understand? Or not? If it's an or not, then it's garbage. Use the damn thing to line your bird cage. What about, the American Constitution? Well, in some quirk of fate, it was a period of drop and add, and I had to drop a calculus and add something. I think that's what it was. I don't know how I would go from a calculus class into an American political science class, but somehow I did through drop and add, and I didn't get to stay in the class, and it's too bad because I really was finding it interesting because it was really teasing my brain with something intelligent. Because the one and only lecture I got, because I had to go and switch to another class. I had to go to another simpler calculus class, which I did pass, so it was a good thing. And I had to have the calculus credit. I didn't need the American political science. In the end, I don't know. I did get one good class on the American Constitution, because that's what that political science class that I was going to take the class and I had to drop it and add back the calculus. But I did enjoy the class, and we did talk about the American Constitution. And is it flowery language? Yes. But that's the problem with it. I mean, you can study it and you can get the drift of it, but you really need to be taught the American Constitution. And you have to have a kind of mind that is willing to be taught about things that are a lot of flowery verbiage. We the people and all that stuff. And then, the intricacies of why they want to have that set of checks and balances. And in the end, many people said it's so the 1% can continue to rule. Because only the 1% can pay the lawyers that can figure out what the Constitution says. And, etc. So would you think that anybody at all could possibly arrange to, because Google wasn't around in those days. So did Google take over the Beast 666 computers? Because the Beast 666 computers were long before Google was invented. Let's say that let's say the Beast computers, 1960s, 1970s. Google's stuff that's going on now, I don't know. It started with me. When did they switch me over from the B666 computers to the Google virtual reality computers? I can't really say. Rumpelstiltskin started talking to me about 6 years ago, but I had major depression 12 years ago. And now I've come to the conclusion that my major depression was electronically caused. Why was it caused by the Google virtual reality thing that was, with Rumpelstiltskin 6 years ago? Or was it 12 years ago with major depression? Was that the B66 computers, or was that some other intermediary step? Well, we don't know how many different sets of computers have been the active computers that have been doing remote neural monitoring of you and, maybe causing you various sicknesses and illnesses and flus and colds and things. Because when I was a little kid, those things were going on. I was born in 1965, so in 1965 there was remote neural monitoring. I'm going to have to say yes, and there was remote fucking with children by electronic means. Yes. In 1965. Now, were my parents' generation affected by remote neural monitoring, etc., etc.? Yes, because my dad went to school with somebody who was afflicted by polio, and he was the only one that got it. He was targeted. How did they target you? Well, with this, technology. So has the technology advanced over the past 100 years? Like 100 years ago, was everybody monitored? Yes. I think that the monitoring technology is not related to technological developments in our world. In other words, let's call it technology from previous civilizations. We are a civilization within a civilization. Here, Earth. We are Truman Show for other people outside of Earth. Yes. Corey Goode told us that, whistleblower who works with DaVid Wilcock, who is a New York Times best-selling author. So DaVid Wilcock is approved by the 1% because they publish. They own all the publishing companies. So he's the approved disclosure person, and the first person he put on Cosmic Disclosure was Corey Goode. So Corey Goode tells us all kinds of things about the technology of the external civilization. So what are we what's known as an ancestor simulation? The Earth that you and I know. It's an ancestor simulation with a much lower level of technology than the superior civilization that we, as an ancestor simulation, we are ruled by the external, much higher tech civilization. That's how you would describe it. Ancestor simulation, because it's the idea of putting people in much more primitive conditions and seeing what happens. Seeing how. So, do you remember the video game The Sims? 1995, I would say, The Sims. I think so. Anyways, it was a video game about, you growing your civilization and civilization developing new technologies. And, there's the development of civilization over, cycles of years, cycles of lifetimes and things. And that's what's going on here for generations and generations and generations of humans. How many generations back was the ancestor simulation set up? Was it set up in my grandparents' generation? Or my grandparents? Because some people say it could be, I don't know, 10,000 year long ancestor simulation. Here, Earth, with other people watching for 10,000 years. What's going on in the ancestor simulation? Yep. How come you're on the inside here and you're not on the outside simulation? I don't know. Is it better on the outside than the inside? No. Because the fat controllers that bedevil me, King Clancy and Brent Beeson, are exceptionally unhappy people. The fat controllers, that's what they are, the people that fuck with us. Ed Harris's character in The Truman Show. If you haven't seen that movie, look for the video clip. They try to kill Truman, and they try to drown Truman. And there's, I don't know, 10 minutes of it. You can see Ed Harris, the fat controller, actively working to murder Truman. Do people in the outside society try to murder us? Yes, they do. Because they got away from it being an ancestor simulation and just letting us develop organically, and they turned it into it's like, I don't know, some of these, I don't know, it's about killing us. It's about making us sick and killing us. How did it get that way? Maybe it always was that way. Maybe it never was an ancestor simulation. Because it's like Neil deGrasse Tyson talking to, I don't know, Nick Bostrom about the simulation theory. And in the simulation theory, it's like Bostrom, who's like an advanced soul, and he's definitely a benevolent person, trying to understand the Matrix movie with a benevolent outlook. But from the other side of the strait, it may be that's just Bostrom looking at it and saying what he would do with it. But it's not actually that way. The way it actually is that, I don't know, maybe it was advanced technology by the ancient builder race that DaVid Wilcock talks about. That ancient builder race disappeared. No one knows the cataclysm that made them disappear. Or maybe they're still around and they're just secretly, surreptitiously watching further waves of people stumble across their stuff. And they're watching to see if the people have knowledge of how to figure out the ancient builder race stuff. And then the wisdom of whether to use it or to use it wisely, benevolently, to promote life rather than death or endless torment and torture. So I'm just going to say, DaVid Wilcock, that the ancient builder race people are still around. And that's what's going on. They're watching later generations of civilizations come to find the ancient builder race stuff. And the ancient builder race it's vetting the civilizations that have come after them. Vetting, it's like, checking them out. Are you devils or are you benevolent? First and foremost. It's just that everybody is being watched. And at the time of harvest time, Sananda, the Ascended Master, told me 25 years ago, it's harvest time, and Aaron Abkey on YouTube has got 1 million videos about harvest time and Law of One and all kinds of other stuff to do with what's going on the planet. Aaron Abkey. Go check him out. Excellent videos, good quality. So it is harvest time. It's graduation time, maybe is a better way to put it. Who's graduating? Well, yours truly. It's harvest time. I learned that 25 years ago. Mastery. What is it? Well, look within. Is basically what it always comes down to. Look within. What do you get? What do you get when you go within? But usually, what I get when I go within is I don't know. So then I talk to see what I got. What did you get when my voice tells me what I got? What'd you get today, Bob? What, I don't know. I'm still waiting for something good that's new and fresh. Isn't this new talking? I know, no, it's all a lot of blather. Because what I really want? I want a Jeep. I want a 1975 Jeep CJ with a V8 engine. And I want to take my Jeep on a road trip. Why can't I get a Jeep? Because my mom's got all my money tied up. Why? Because she bedeviled me into, it all. And when I tell her to put it back so I can have it, she won't. What does God want me to do? I'm supposed to take a moment and check in with God. What do I do to heal this situation? What did I get? I heard some birds outside singing. What does it mean? It means birds are singing. Is your life so bad? No. Do you really need your Jeep right now to go to a road trip? Well, apparently no. That's the answer from the universe. The universe has said, I don't want you to go on that road trip. I put that idea in your head, Bob, about you getting a Jeep and going on a road trip to South America. I put that in your head, God says. And then God says, I put it in your head to check to see if today's the day that you're going. And the answer is no. The answer you got is, a robin chirping outside. Which is no. Could it be yes? Well, no, because my money's all tied up with Susan. Why? Well, so that I couldn't easily go and, buy a Jeep and go to South America. Because God doesn't want me to go to South America right now. And maybe I can't say. I mean, why would God give me the idea of driving to South America and never let me do it? It seems mean-spirited. Well, I know I've had plenty of mean-spirited things happen in this lifetime where, ideas about doing this fun thing or that thing or whatever come to mind, and I never get to go. I never get to go to the pyramids. Greece? No. Cape Town? No. Great Wall of China? No. Taj Mahal? No. Machu Picchu? No. So what's going on? Well, I have to change the world before I can get to go to these places. Because on the amount of money I can make as an employee on planet Earth, I cannot afford to go to the places that I want to go. And given the fact that, even if I have my own small business or whatever, then you spend all your time with your small business and you never have time to go and tour the world and do what you want to do. So, well, I don't know. I did get to go. I don't know. Anyways, the answer is no. What we're doing is we're changing the world so that you don't have to try to earn enough money to pay outrageous airfare, etc., to go and tour the world. Because under the current political economy, Bob, you can't do it. Because you've already tried and you couldn't do it, so you can't. So we're not going to go down that path anymore. We're going down the path of changing the world so that everybody can go and tour the world. Because that's what we all want to do. We want to tour the world, and then, we want to play, baseball and, soccer, and we want to go swim with the fishes, and sailboard, and learn to fly. Maybe some people want to learn to fly. And I don't know, there's a million things to do with our physical bodies, and so I'm not doing anything with my physical body now. Hardly anything. Because in order to make this planet a planet where you can do all the things without hinder, without restriction, we have to change the people on the planet. And in order to change the people, then other people have got to go. Well, at least some of the people have got to do with meditation, the going within. The being quiet. Now, am I quiet? I'm running my mouth all day long with talks. I know, but that's at the front of the face. Back here in the back of the head, it's very quiet, holding space while I yabber yabber yabber, waiting for the world to change. The John Mayer song. And it's always said, spiritually, the only way you can change the world is you can change you. And that's it. I mean, you can do selling and cajoling and perjuring and telling lies and trying to get other people to go along with what you want. You can still do that, and I still talk, to try and get other people to listen to what I have to say. But in the end, the only one that really does anything is me, being quiet. Why isn't other people that talk and run their mouth, why aren't they quiet in the quantum field too? Because they didn't do the work. When oh yes, you can tell someone who's running their mouth and bullshitting versus me. If you're an advanced soul, you could tell. If you're an average Joe calibrating it at 195, I don't think you're going to tell the difference. Too bad for you. You're bad karma. I can't fix your karma. And if you think that I'm a joker or a fool or, I'm just not to be listened to, that's bad karma for you. Because I did all the work and I read all the books and I went to the seminars and I've seen a million YouTubes. I'm very well educated, and I look at ignoramuses over and over again who continue to tell me that I'm nuts. Well, I don't know. So you go within, and you're one with the quantum field, and you carry your high rate of consciousness. And that's how you influence the field, and all the people are the field. So you change yourself and you change the field, and that's how you change all the other people. And in the end, do they need to hear it in words or not? Well, they need to hear it in words. Don't be too concerned about it. The hows and whys of how it happens. It's just like you're told this is spiritual truth. Well, you want to test it. Well, I know. But sometimes the spiritual truths are untestable. Because quite often, it's like the shaman looks. The shaman does something, and then the shaman looks to see, did I get the effect that I wanted? But it's the limitations of the mind of the shaman. The shaman's got to have something bigger than it. Because if everything is like, part of the shaman, then it's a very limited worldview. And how do you ever get anything new? So you have to have something bigger than you as the shaman. And, the shaman has the spirit. And the spirit has got everything. The known, the unknown, and according to Don Juan Matus, the unknowable. So that's a big bag of trips, to create stuff, new stuff for the shaman to know. But if the shaman is stupid and says, I'm going to look and I'm going to do something different, I'm going to look and see if I had to change, there's some spiritual truths that come and say, these are not testable shamanically, these truths. And the shaman, is going to look at it and ponder it and see, is there a way I can work around this? Or is this truly a truth that cannot, Don Juan Matus, the shaman, said there are unknowables. There's known things that you know. You know what's in your wallet. I got $20. There's unknown things. How much money's in your wallet? I don't know. It's unknown to me, but it is a known thing in consciousness. Don Juan Matus said there are unknowables. Is it just unknowable to Don Juan Matus, a Yaqui shaman, unknowable to a Yaqui shaman, but knowable to some other kind of being? He didn't go into details. He just said unknowable, and he was talking to Carlos Castaneda, who was a UCLA anthropology student, a human. Anyways, it's a mystery to explore, the unknowable.